Before Han Solo raced the Millennium Falcon past Imperial TIE fighters, he put up 2x4s in Los Angeles homes. Or at least Harrison Ford, the actor that played Han, did. If George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, hadn't randomly hired Harrison Ford to do some work around his house, we'd have never heard about Han Solo. It was pure happenstance that got him a job as an actor. Now the story is the same for many people you know. They may even be CEO of something or other, but have literally no idea how they ended up that way. Well, there is another method, one that I use to plot my career path in a more intentional way. There's 3 steps. It's really easy, and there's 3 words that summarize the 3 steps. Remember these 3 words: you, the world, and the plan. I know, there's 2 extra words in there, but you get the idea. All right, let's start out with you. Who are you? People don't usually walk up to other people and ask them this question. But if you want to start the right way, you have to ask yourself this question. And when you try to go answer it, you may have more questions. Can you sum up a personality in a sentence or a paragraph? Does the you in you change over time? Does it stay the same? As I often like to do, I think there's a good quote for this. The child is the father of the man. And there's good evidence for that. In 1972, researchers Avshalom Caspi, Terry Moffat, and others started a longitudinal study on 1,000 participants. It's actually one of the most interesting things that you'll probably ever come across on the internet. Basically, for the last 50 years, they've been studying to see if your childhood personality has any impact on how you act when you grow up. And what it found was groundbreaking. It found that your childhood personality was a really good indicator of how you would be as an adult. And also, the study still goes on today, apparently with adults stealing each other's Legos. Seriously though, it's actually kind of a big deal. What this means is we're sort of destined to act out our childhood personalities in adult settings. I'm sure there's some level of deviation based on your particular circumstances, but what that also means is that we can almost predict how we'd act, but only if we knew ourselves better, especially the early childhood version of ourselves. And that's why the first word here is you. Know thyself, says Socrates and his predecessors. And he's probably right. Knowing who you are at a deep level is the first step in determining what you're meant to do. So this is not all theory. Let's talk about specific exercises to figure this part of it out. So ask yourself, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are you passionate about? And if you haven't, take this test and try out these activities to see what moves you. And then also take a personality test. Great, now that you've done all that, keep those reflections somewhere and let's talk about the world. Now, contrary to popular belief, the world isn't automatically your oyster, at least not until you learn how to find an oyster. Therefore, we must learn where to fish. In this instance, the world means the business world, including all the companies, organizations, and aspects we come to associate with the economy, the industries, sectors, business departments, etc. To find out what you're meant to do, you need to understand what's out there. And so it's a vast world, but here are 2 quick ways to break it down. Try to bifurcate things into the industries out there and the business departments out there. There's a reason we love these 2 categorizations. It's because you can quickly create a grid of all the opportunities out there. And once you create that grid, you can then start mapping out where you feel most passionate or where you're getting the most traction. Finance in the oil and gas industry, or doing safety in manufacturing, or software engineering in the education industry. It's all here. Your job is to build this map by understanding all the departments out there and all the industries. There's a lot, but here's a starting point. So here's the exercise for this portion. Take the grid and cross boxes of interest. So first off, make the grid. Set up industries as your columns and business departments as your rows, or vice versa. Once you have that grid in place, look through each combination and each little box and cross off any boxes where you feel like you might be interested. Next, for any of the boxes you crossed off, spend 10 minutes searching online, asking ChatGPT or an equivalent service to just research what it's like working in those different areas. Now, once you're done with that, ask yourself, are you still interested in these areas, or did you find something that inspires you, or did you find something that completely turned you off to that area? Awesome. So that was pretty easy. Now you have a list of things that can help you start describing who you are. And you also have a little grid that shows you where in the business world you may have some interest. And the final step is to redo this until you have a set of a couple of areas of interest. Awesome. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the third word, which is plan. So when you understand yourself and you understand where in the business world you're supposed to be, you can plot a path to where you want to go from where you are. You plus the business world equals a plan. And the plan describes what you're meant to do. How so? If you know yourself well and you're honest about it, you'll know what you're good at and what you're bad at. You'll know your skills, what you're world class at, and what you should avoid. That is basically real wisdom because it's going to help you make choices for the rest of your life. And then, if you understand where in the business world you have interests, you now have a destination or a point. And obviously, since you know where you are currently, you can draw a line to where you want to go. So how do you do that? Let's put aside the geometry and the three-dimensional calculus here for a second. The way you do that is to trace someone else's steps because they've already done the hard work. Why do you want to spend the rest of your life trying to find a way into the place you want to go? There's no reason to do that, right? So here's a couple exercises to do just that. First off, find 3 famous CEOs that are in the area you want to enter and 3 normal people you know that are in the area you want to enter. Research how they moved up into their roles. Now, to do that, you may have to look online. You may have to talk to a couple normal people you know that are in that field or in that area you're interested in. But start compiling these little biographies so you can understand how they've been doing this. And so once you've done your research, then ask yourself, what moves did they make that you can copy? And then what moves might you make that are just different? And so once you've done this, you are ahead of 99% of people. Usually when I work with clients, different individuals, they frequently have not done any of this work. So we have to start from scratch. But just from you starting to think this way, you'll already start seeing opportunities when you're out in the wild, like talking to people. You'll see like, oh, well, I want to do X, Y, and Z. That's where I want to get. And so this person who I would have ignored a month ago now is very interesting. Now I know I have to talk to them because I'm trying to figure out how they cracked the code, right? So at this point, it's very simple. You plus the world equals what you're meant to do. You can use this framework over and over for many things as well. And it's good to ask yourself this series of questions periodically just to see how things change, because things change as well. Awesome. So at this point, if you're ready to take this framework to the next level, check out Career Path Mapper, which is linked right here. We spent years studying many people and their paths through the major industries and business functions out there, so you don't have to. We also go much deeper than this video, and basically we help people develop a custom career plan. So check it out today if you're interested. Have a good one.